Welcome back. In this session, we are going to automate book review application using Terraform, Ansible, and Azure DevOps. I would say this is one of the best project, session, hands-on, whatever you say, of this course as of now, because we are going to implement everything what we have learned so far in this course, starting from the Git, Linux, Terraform, Ansible, Azure DevOps, and of course Azure Cloud, because this application we will be deploying in Azure infrastructure. So we are going to provision infrastructure for this application, book review application, using Terraform, then application deployment using Ansible, and we are going to automate both infra and application configuration using Azure DevOps pipeline. And this is how we automate infrastructure and application in real time when we work for a company. So what is objective of this lab, of these assignments? So here we are going to understand how DevOps team structure their responsibility using separate repository. Yes, so we will have two repository, one for the infrastructure and another for the application. You will see in a moment. Then we are going to understand how to automate infrastructure using Terraform using Azure DevOps pipeline. Then we are also going to understand how to configure front-end and backend of our application. So we have two components of the application, right? And this is separate application using Ansible, and most importantly using CI/CD pipeline. So both will be done with the CI/CD pipeline. Then we are going to do manual handover of infrastructure to the application team. So as I said, we will have two pipeline, one for the infrastructure, another for the application. So once infrastructure get automated, then we need to get some IPs and details, and that we are going to put into our application CI/CD pipeline. And then of course securely we need to connect with the backend service for continuous deployment. So what is prerequisite? So you have everything because we have been flowing this course. So just to ensure, you have Azure setup with the valid subscription, and you have created service principals, because we are going to use this connect our Azure DevOps to our Azure account, because now we are going to target a resource group. So instead of connecting with individual VM, this time we are going to connect with resource group. So for that we need service principal, and for that we are going to create the service connection. So this has not been yet, so let's go ahead and do that. So here I will go to my Azure DevOps, and now we are going to create this pipeline in mini finance project. So let's go here, and here we need to create a service connection. So go in the service connection and new service connection, and here we are going to create Azure Resource Manager. Why? Because we want to give access of all resources of this resource group. Okay, so select this. Now in app registration, in identity type, we will change to app registration, right? So SPN. Then for credentials we are going to use secrets, because we are going to use the 4 credentials what we have used earlier, if you remember. So here what we need the subscription ID. So let me go ahead and get the subscription ID. I'm copying it here and let me paste here. Then we need subscription name. Let's give this subs 1, that's fine. Then we need application ID. This is also called client ID, and you already know where to get it, because this we have already done in earlier session. Now we need our directory tenant ID. So let me copy this. Basically all these details I should not share here, but anyways, as I said earlier, I'm going to delete this, so that's not a problem. Then we need client secrets, so let me copy this. I will delete this whole account, so it's not a problem for me. Okay, and then let's verify this is connected, then give this name, and for that we have already name selected. Okay, so let's go back here. If we see the service connection name, because I have used this service connection name in the automation, so it's better to use same name, so it will be easy when we are going to connect. So we do not see here, no problem, I can get it from here. Let me go in Azure Pipeline because I was testing it. Okay, and if we go scroll down, it should be here, IT Azure connection. Yes, let me copy this because I want to use same, otherwise we need to change there. Let's go ahead and let me put this and grant permission to all pipeline and save this. Perfect, now this is done. Let's go back to our guide here, documentation. Okay, so now we have a valid subscription. We already created SPN in earlier section. Now we have created a service connection. This part is done. Now for Azure DevOps, we need two repositories. One is the book review infra, another is the book review app. So let me close this. I have already opened this just to make sure this is working right repository. So in here, in book review infra, we have Terraform infrastructure code. So this is going to create our infrastructure, and book review app, we have the application code, then Ansible deployment logic. So this is our infra. As I said, we have the Terraform here. Then in the book review app, we have the front end, back end, then Ansible. Let's go back. Then Azure pipeline enable in the both repo. Yes, for that we have the pipeline enabled. So we have this Azure pipeline, and here again Azure pipeline I have created. I will walk you through it. Then SSH key pair, both for both private and the public, and this is we need to save, upload into Azure DevOps library secure file. Okay, so let me do that because we haven't done this earlier. So let's go in pipeline, and in library here you see secure file. Okay, so we are going to add my local machine, public key and secret key, or you can even create it specific for this application. So I have already created, so I'm going to upload this here because this is we are going to use for our virtual machine authentication. Okay, so let me add here. Then I'm going to just drop here. So this is the private key. Let me upload this, and now let me add another. This is my public key. And you must understood, because we are going to use this when we create our virtual machine. So we will use this public key, then private key we will use for the SSH, right? So Ansible need the passwordless authentication, and for that I am uploading here. Let's go back to the documentation. So this is prerequisite, we have all done. Perfect. Now here this is architecture and the team role, as I have already explained. So we have a platform team and infra team who own our book review infrastructure. So here in book review infra, we have code to provision virtual machine, two virtual machine for the book review application, and then MySQL, we are going to create MySQL using the Terraform. So here you see the, either we can say the platform team infra team and DevOps team. So they have basically owned this repository, because for this application we need the infrastructure. Then we have the app and DevOps dev team, and they own book review application, so they have written the code. And here as a platform team we have also written Ansible for this application deployment, and this is something we have put it here as a Ansible repository. Now one thing try to understand here, okay, the approach what we are doing. So in this approach we have two team. One is the platform and infra or DevOps team. They completely own the platform. So when any application team comes and say, hey, I want to deploy my application on the cloud, then infra and platform teams go ahead and create the infrastructure, and they also create the application configuration, and those part they put in the book review app, because application configuration and software installation is goes with the application code. There's another approach, and that's called mono repo. So even if you are the part of the platform teams and DevOps team, then application team say, okay, now in our same application code we need, okay, they don't say anything. But in mono repo approach, what we do, instead of maintaining our own platform, we put our infra and the even application configuration inside in the application code. So that's called mono repo approach. So what you see here, we have the Ansible, right? But here maybe we can create a let's say DevOps team folder, okay, and there we put the Terraform and Ansible. So this code what you see, Terraform, again Ansible, that will go in the this folder, okay. So that's called mono repo. So again this is approach and depends on organization to organization, and they follow based on their best practices. Now you see here we are the DevOps team, and we are bridging the gap between these two teams, right? So we are going to manage the Azure DevOps pipeline, ensure secrets, automation and flow, and each and everything. Perfect. Now there is a two phase. First phase is infrastructure provisioning, okay. So first thing first, we are going to provision infrastructure, okay. So as I have explained, in this repository book review infra, we have here Terraform, and in this Terraform we have module to create infrastructure for this application, and we have currently two environment specific configuration, one for the production, one for the development, and this is similar to what we have been using earlier. If you see here, so we have this main file output providers, Terraform and variables. Then in inf you see we have our dev and prod variables, right? If you go back here in the modules, we have compute, database and network, and this is exactly same code what we have used in the earlier demo and assignments. Now let's go back here. Then again I have created Azure pipeline.yml to automate this infrastructure, okay. So in this pipeline we have steps for Terraform installation, because when we are using our agent in Azure DevOps, right, so Terraform need to be installed, because using Terraform we are going to create the infrastructure, right? So Terraform installation, then of course authentication to the Azure, just what we have created. Then again this part is there. Then of course we are going to create frontend VM, backend VM, then MySQL database, and again all outputs of the frontend VM public IP, backend VM public IP, and MySQL database fully qualified domain name will be available in the output. So here is very simple, okay. We are going to initialize using the Terraform, then we are going to get public IP, private IP, sorry, public IP of both VMs, okay, and DB. Then it's going to print in the log, and that will retrieve this, and this is we are going to put in our next steps, okay, in the application deployment. Don't worry, we'll do it one by one. So let's go ahead. As we understood all this, now let's go ahead and set up our pipeline, okay. So what we are going to do this time, we are going to create a pipeline, and we are going to use GitHub, because you see our this code is in GitHub, so we are not going to fork this. Okay, instead of, we are going to connect our Azure DevOps directly to our GitHub. Okay, so this is a small change what we have did to give you the flavor of how we integrate our Azure DevOps with GitHub. And of course, as I said, we already have this pipeline. Let's go here, Azure DevOps pipeline, right? So using that, we are going to create the pipeline. So let's go to our Azure DevOps, and here pipeline, let's create a new pipeline. And this time, as I said, we are going to authenticate with the GitHub. Okay, and I have already authenticated GitHub, so now I see my all repository over here. Okay, if you're doing first time, once you come here, it will ask your GitHub username and password. Give it there, it will work. There is no rocket science. So for this, I'm going to select book review infra. So let me select this, and then we have existing Azure pipeline, right? I have already created, so I will select this one, and now I need to select where is my Azure pipeline, right? Select this and continue, and this is my Azure pipeline codes. So let me quickly walk through. This is same things what we have been using earlier. Okay, so here you see, so we have the path, and this path includes Terraform Ansible, not Ansible. Okay, so we can remove the Ansible because I have removed this. Then if there's any changes on the main, okay, on this repository, okay, so this is going to trigger this pipeline. Then we have the stage here, Terraform stage for creating the infrastructure. Display name is provision infrastructure. Then we have the job. Then we are going to, okay, so here we are using self-hosted agent once again. Okay, because my Microsoft Azure agent is not got approved yet. And what you see here is very simple. Is going to download the, okay, I think this is the new. So again, this is going to download the id rsa.public. So the public key what we have uploaded in the this library, so it's going to download this. Okay, then after that, this is going to move this public.rsa in my Terraform module in the compute. Okay, because this need to be used by the Terraform. Okay, go ahead and explore this code. Okay, these small changes I have done in this code, and once you go here, you will be able to understand. So let's go in, maybe in the module. Okay, now you see I'm here in the compute. I'm passing the public key. Okay, so initially we were not passing the public key, right? And same you see in the variables as well. I have defined variables here. Okay, it's very simple, and I think we have used that, right? Again, go in the modules in the compute, you will see that. Okay, so if you go in the main, yes, I remember now, we have already did this, right? So here if you see, I have this admin. Now we are downloaded, and from the modules we are going to use this public key. Okay, so because of that, we need to download here and copy at this place. Okay, then we have the CLI. Okay, Azure CLI, and what this is doing, using this here, we are going to cd into the Terraform. Then we are running init, plan and apply. Okay, and this is going to create our infrastructure, and for that we have this connection, IT Azure connection, that what we have used. Very simple pipeline. Let's save this and run this and do the finger cross. I have already tested. If all goes well, this is going to run the pipeline, and this is going to create the infrastructure. Okay, but now we see this is in the queue because my hosted zone is actually stopped. Okay, so let me do one thing. So I need to go to my Azure portal Okay, first things first, I need to permit this, but still it will be in the queue because my hosted zone virtual machine is stopped. So I need to start this because I don't want to pay. Okay, so this will be in the queue. Let's go back. You see in the queue, right? Let me refresh this. Now I'm starting my virtual machine. So once virtual machine will be, see here, this is in the queue. Okay, so once virtual machine will start, then it will start this pipeline. So it's quite normal. Okay, so what happened once, even if you go and use the Microsoft Azure hosted agent, then you also see your queue will go in the pipeline will go in the queue, because there we need to buy the queue. This is not free. Okay, I will show you once it will complete. So if it's not, okay, let's say if company has the 5 parallel queue is bought, okay, and this 10 people, maybe 100 people are running, okay, so it will go in the queue. So it's happen. So all going good here. Now let's open this, and this is most important part because this is going to run our Terraform init, then plan, then this is going to, okay, now we see some error. No problem, this any error we are going to fix it together. So what is the error? This is saying unable to build authorization to the Resource Manager API, could not configure Azure CLI authorizer to this subscription. Okay, provider. Okay, so looks like we need to do some changes. So I need to change the subscription ID. So let me copy this and let's go in our code, infra and provider. Yes, I need to change this. Okay, so let me change this. No worries, it happens. Let's go back to our infra, and so most important thing is if something is not running right, we should be able to understand the error, right? Now let's go ahead and, okay, let me go back and now run it again. And see how this goes. Again, this is in the queue. This should not be in the queue technically. Okay, maybe it's trying to connect. Okay, it happened. No worries. Okay, let me check if my VM is running correctly. Yes, this is running correctly. Why this is in the queue? Let's go back. Okay, I guess there is a one thing. Let me go here. This is okay. Now you know why this is queue, because when we have committed our code here, okay, when we committed our code here, so it automatically went ahead and started the pipeline. Okay, so this pipeline is running, this is in the queue. Okay, so this is, we can go ahead and cancel this. This is not needed because this is something I have manually started, right? So let's go back. So I was thinking why this is in the queue. It should not be. Okay, let's go back and we will watch this one. Okay, open this and this is running well. Now we see this is creating our infrastructure. Well, very good. And we can also check here from our Azure portal. Very good, very good. It's creating the backend and all. Let's go in a resource group. Yes, this is, and it's going to create a lot of resources. Yes, so now we have the backend VM, we have frontend VM, and maybe this is creating the MySQL. So this is takes some time when it's create the MySQL, and then this is finally going to give us the public IP and private IP, sorry, public IP of the both VM and DNS of our MySQL. Okay, so when it's by the time it's creating, let's go ahead and see the next steps. Okay, now you see this is running here pending, right? So now our Azure DevOps pipeline is integrated with our GitHub. Well, now let's go back here, and yes, so this is pretty much now, as I said. So here we have the manual hands off. So now we know as this infra phase 1 is managed by the platform team, right? Now phase 2 is managed by the application team, right? Of course we have the Ansible, this is managed by the DevOps team, infra team. But what we need to do here, we need the IP, frontend and backend public IP and our MySQL DNS, and this is we are going to configure update in our book review application in the Ansible. Okay, so you already know in inventory.ini we have the host, so those need to be updated, and again in the backend and the frontend we need to do that, and this is I done the intentionally. Okay, so as you see, so this is the architectural decision, right? As I said here, intentionally we are making two pipeline, one for the infra and another for the application. Now maybe you will be thinking, so do we really need this manual hands off? Maybe not. So it's very simple, right? So this file here again could be updated dynamically, and this is quite possible. So if you really want, your organization really want, you can do that. That's not a big deal. Okay, but as of now we are going to do it manually. Now next is our application deployment, and for that we have this repository again in the GitHub, and you already know frontend has the frontend code, backend has the backend code, and in Ansible we have the Ansible code for the application configuration and deployment. And again this will be triggered whenever there is some changes in the main branch, and it will go ahead and run the Ansible and deploy and update the application. Okay, so what is the pipeline flow? It's going to install the Ansible and dependencies, and it's going to download the private key, right? Because Ansible need to connect with virtual machine, so it's need the private key. So it's going to download, then it will connect with the VM, then it's going to configure backend and frontend, and we have done this earlier, right? So now we'll go and set up the pipeline, but before set up the pipeline I wanted to make sure we have the all details and we update in our application repository here, and then we can proceed with the next steps here. So let's check if this is ready. Okay, let's see if this is ready, didn't fail, and do the finger cross. If failed, no worries, we will fix it together. and luckily it's working fine. Okay, so now we see our backend public IP and frontend public IP in our MySQL fully qualified domain name. Now let's go ahead. This is something we need to update, okay, at 3 place. So let's follow our documentation. If you go here, as I said, so we need to update these 3 files, okay, in application. Let's go here and go to the Ansible and open inventory.ini. okay, I can open it from here. And another way, I have already my application on my local system, so let's do it from here. Okay, so that will be better. So let me open the Visual Studio. Well, now here is my Visual Studio, and here we have the application. Let me make it bigger and copy this, and let me close this, and let's update these details one by one. Okay, let's go in the inventory. So here we need to update these IPs. Okay, so let's go here. So I copied the backend public IP, so this will go in the backend. Let me paste here, and now again let's open this variable. Now we'll go in the front end, and here you see backend API URL, right? So let me paste this here. Okay, perfect. Now let's go and copy the frontend IP, copy this, and now we'll go in the backend, because here for the cross origin we need to allow from the frontend IP in the backend, right? So let's put it here, and I think that's pretty much. And in the INI, this is our frontend IP, right? So let me put this. So frontend IP. Okay, let me copy this, frontend IP 172. No, why this is wrong? Sorry. This is the frontend IP. This is our frontend IP. Let me copy. I think I was copying, pasting wrong things. So this is our frontend, right? Now I'll go in the backend. This should be 20. Yes, this is correct, right? So this is correct. Paste this. This is correct. And now we need to update our MySQL fully qualified domain name, and this is the same. Okay, let me copy this, and this is in our backend, because backend need to connect with our database, right? So this is book review. So let me copy this and paste this, and all looks good. Yes, let me quickly test, see the if everything is perfect. Now let me bring my terminal, and here, okay, pwd, yes, we are right place, git status, okay, diff, let me check this configuration one by one, Ansible and inventory. Just wanted to make sure if we have nothing extra. Okay, clear, git diff, then Ansible inv, no, group variable, then we have backend. So here we only supposed to change the frontend IP, and this is good, perfect. Now let me do for the front end. Why I'm doing this, because sometimes if we do a small mistakes, some comma, extra comma we put it here, so wanted to make sure we don't have any issues here. All looks good, perfect. Now git status, okay, git add, git commit -am, then git commit -am, and changed infra details to Ansible, and git push origin, and before that let me do git pull origin mean I should be doing this earlier, perfect, before committing my code, but no problem. Now git push origin main. Perfect. All good. Let's go back here, and we updated. Now what we are going to do, we are going to create the pipeline again, same steps. So let's go back here and pipeline. Okay, so we see last one is this got passed. Okay, this one is something not needed, delete this. Okay, perfect. Now run the create new pipeline again, GitHub, and now we will select our app infra and scroll down. We have existing Azure pipeline, so select this, and now we need to select our Azure pipeline here and continue. And this code is you already know. Quickly let me explain through. So if something got changed on the main branch, then this is going to trigger. Again we are using self-hosted agent, then we are installing Ansible over here, and we are downloading the key again, giving the permission to the key and moving at the right place, and then here using Ansible we are running the playbook. Very simple. Then let's run this. So now this is basically going to run the pipeline, and we need to give the permission. I think here, yes, we need to authorize. This is first time. Okay, permit this, and this is going to execute it, and if all goes well, this is going to deploy the application and we will be able to access it. So now we already know the public IP, right, of the front end. So this is backend and this is the front end IP, right? So let me copy this and let's go ahead and see and put in the browser, and if all goes well, this is going to work, right? And I also inspect it to see the error if something is there. Let's go here and check. So this is the main script is going to run. Let's keep our close eyes over here, and now this is running good as of now. Let's see if something else we need to cover here. No, so that's fine. So I have added some text here, so maybe you can go ahead and read this. Okay, and what you have learned. Okay, this is already I have explained. Okay, so that's pretty much okay. So once everything will goes well here, it means we will be able to access our application, and then from here, if application team working, let's say 1 people, 10 people, 15 people, and if they will do any changes to this application repository, any changes, okay, then automatically these changes going to deploy in the production on this application, and we can see that live. Okay, we see this cancel because this is not working, because nothing is working there, right? So that's why we see here. So we need to wait until this got deployed. But here bottom line is, going forward, if our this pipeline what we are setting up, if this is works, then if developer from the local system, this is my local system, right, we'll do some changes here, and if we commit our changes, so this is directly going to trigger the pipeline, is going to deploy the application. Didn't matter in a day we can do 10 deployment or maybe 100 deployment. If you have the people from the across globe, let's say 100 people, they are working, they will work on their local machine, do the changes. Once they will commit their changes and push it on the main branch, then this will trigger this pipeline, and this Ansible playbook is going to run, is going to deploy our application. Perfect. So now this is doing all the steps, and again you are very familiar with this, right? So we have the first common, so it's installed all the common software in the both front end and the back end. Now this is setting up the backend. Once it will set up the backend, then this will set up the front end, right? And finger cross, it should work. If not, we'll fix it together. And this is the beauty of the CI/CD pipeline that I wanted to show you. So once we set up, then all good. 100 commits, 100 pushed, and every times this pipeline will execute and application will get deployed. So this is very good moment at this at after this section. I will say if you deploy this, all goes well, then I will say please take a small break and revise all the previous concepts. Make sure everything is clear to you. If you have any doubt, go ahead, ask in the Q&A section of this Udemy course. I'm going to help you out, or someone from my team is going to help you out. And again, I am going to create the assignments here. So now you see what we did here. We have simply deploy our application. Okay, our infrastructure is not high available, right? We have the fixed virtual machine, one for the front end, one for the back end. And again, MySQL is the just single MySQL server, right? Again, this is not high available. So what I'm expecting, I'm going to create the next assignments where I want you to add auto scaling and load balancer to our front end and back end, and again make your database high available. See, there is no difference. Okay, now what you need to do, you have to think around. If you are deploying this on the AWS, how do you use auto scaling for the back end and the front end, and in between front end and back end you have to bring the load balancer. Then again, in front of your front end you will be bringing load balancer, public load balancer, right? And database you will be making high available, maybe read replica as well. If you are doing this, making high available in the Azure, then you will be using simple load balancer between front end and the back end, right? And application gateway in front of the front end, or maybe simple load balancer works as well, no problem. And then you need to use virtual machine scale sets for scaling your front end and the back end. And again, MySQL server you have to make high available. So this is a real challenge. Okay, so I will recommend go ahead and do that, and please don't expect me to come ahead and create this solution. I can sit for 1 hour, I can create the solution, but you will learn nothing. So if you really want to learn, so we did everything, right? So you have to go a little extra mile, sit, write the code, look at the documentation, use the chat GPT. If works, all good. Don't works, okay, then spend some quality time, try to debug it, and trust me that this will give you the real learning. Let's quickly check here. Okay, all is set now and pipeline is successful. Let's go back the pipelines, both are successful. Now finger crossed, let's check if all works well. Hit the enter. And see if this is working. So first time basically it takes time because it's loading the application, and yes, our application is working completely fine here, right? So we see the our books, names, authors. Let's go ahead and we can register here. We can also log in here. So let me give my full name Praveen Misra, and email is praveen@gmail.com. Then I'm giving the password and registered it. Yes, successfully registered. Never save this. Now let's log in it. It was praveen@gmail.com. Then my password and login. Now you see Praveen Misra got logged in. I can go ahead and give the review of any of this book. Let me close this. This is not needed. Okay, very nice book, and give the 5 star. And now this is working well. go back to home, all good, right? Now application is live, all good. Now imagine we need to do some changes in this application, right? So technically, if you go ahead on my local machine, right, and this is our application code, right, this is the front end. If I go ahead, if I do any changes here, any changes in this application, right, then this is going to trigger the pipeline, right, and it's going to deploy our application, right? So let's test this. Okay, so here let's go just do the small change in the readme. Okay, I'm scrolling down here and let's test this here. I'm adding this. Okay, testing CICD PIPE pipeline. Okay, save this and let's commit these changes. Status git add am testing automated CICD. Okay, and before that let's go ahead, open our pipeline. Okay, you see this not running and hit this. As soon as okay committed, now git push origin main. Now it will trigger this pipeline. Okay, so we can go ahead and refresh from here, but automatically this is going to trigger. Let's wait for some second. Okay, maybe refresh this. Okay, instead of waiting this. Okay, now we see this is running, right? So now you see the beauty of this CI/CD, right? We means all set, right? Now we have the two pipeline, right? One for the infra, one for the application. There is some changes in the infra. You can go ahead and make the changes on our local system on the respective repository, right? And this is going to make those changes with CI/CD pipeline. We don't have the any manual work anymore, right? So it's going to run. Okay, we can wait here for the couple of second to see. Okay, because now you see this it will go and check each and every steps, but technically there's no any changes, so all will be okay. Other than if doing some changes, it will say something is changing. Okay, so okay, we have one warning here. So basically I know this, so this something we could fix it, but no issues as of now. Okay, and it will complete and our application is going to be live, but technically we haven't made any changes in the application that we can verify it. But here just I wanted to show you, if all goes well, then this is going to deploy the application. So now our CI/CD pipeline is ready for this application epic book. For this epic book, our CI/CD pipeline is ready. So let's wait couple of seconds. Just wanted to make sure you see this as well. It should work. It will work as expected. This is installing. Yeah, so as I said, please go ahead and complete the new assignments. Please take a small break to review all past concepts, everything. Make sure what you are learning, you are owning it. Make good notes and go ahead, deploy these applications, do some fine tuning in these applications, play around, and there's a lot of things you can do, right? So do it as much as you can do, you will learn. Perfect, now is doing, and you see all this code is available on the GitHub, so you can get it from there. And in case you need any help, anything, do let me know in the Q&A section, so anyone from my team is going to help you out. And now this is in the final stage of our playbook. So this is running the front end. Let's wait for a couple of seconds. Let's restarting the server. Yes, all done, right? No changes, nothing is there. Okay, but just I wanted to show you so how this is integrated from our local systems, right? Not from local system, but yeah, when we are doing any changes and we are committing from here, then this is going and deploying our application. Perfect. So that's pretty much I wanted to cover. Thank you so much. Once again, I have already attached this whole documentation in the this session. Go ahead and download it, practice it multiple times, and all the best for the next assignments. Thank you so much.